Lesson 7.4, Video 2. So let's try factoring by grouping in real practice with trinomials that have an a not equal to 1. So as we mentioned, we're going to look for two factors that have a product of, we're going to take our first two terms, our first and last term, a and c, and multiply them. And that's 28. And it also needs a sum of 29. So factors of 28, there's a few there, but looks like I would say that 28 times 1 is the one we're going to use. So I'm going to take those two numbers and I'm going to replace this middle number and write 7x squared plus 28x plus 1x plus 4. And that is how we create four terms. So in other words, these two middle terms replace the 29x. Now, we factor by grouping, so the first two have a 7 and an x in common, and if we divide both of those by 7x, we get x plus 4. The second part, there's nothing in common, so we just leave it as is. Our goal is that when we factor these two pieces, what's in parentheses should be the same. So we get x plus 4 in parentheses. And what's left is 7x plus 1, the two front terms. And that is considered factored. We've already practiced factoring by grouping, so now it's really a question of can we create four terms. Alright, so this one, we're looking for a product of 5 times 6. Okay, so we take those two terms, multiply them together, and we get 30. So the two factors we're looking for have to have a product of 30 and a sum of 13. So if we look at our factors of 30, we have 30 and 1, which doesn't help us at all. We have 3 and 10 again, and those two will work. So we rewrite this as 5x squared plus 3x plus 10x. Now notice I could write plus 10x plus 3x. Order doesn't matter, so we're okay with that. Plus 6. So again, these two terms replaced the 13x. It's still the same equation, but with four terms. It still represents the same thing if we were to simplify. But we are creating four terms so we can factor by grouping. Our first piece has an x in common, so if I divide both terms by x, I get 5x plus 3. My second two, they have a 2 in common, so I factor out a 2 and I get 5x plus 3. And again, if we did it right, or if it's factorable, we notice that they both have the same thing in parentheses. So we write 5x plus 3, we factor it out, and we're left with those two terms, x plus 2. Alright, and this ends Lesson 7.4, Video 2.